After watching this video tutorial, you will know how I create kitchen accessories and appliances in Blender from just the very basic 3D geometry, some pre-made assets and photo references. This video is part of my interior visualization course in Blender, which is available for free on my channel. You can find a complete playlist with other parts, link in the description field, and if you want to access all of the course project files that I've created and support what I do, I share more information on that at the end of the video. Anyway, my name is Lech, like in any other video, and welcome to my interior visualization course in Blender. Hi everyone, and welcome to the third video on the kitchen modeling for our interior visualization course in Blender. In this video we're gonna add all of the final details we are still missing in our kitchen, and that will be the accessories like the oven, fridge and grill here, also the cooking panel. So I'm gonna just start very quickly with it by deleting the faces we have here on the right, so we have a space for our kitchen utilities. And I'm also gonna delete the faces we have already created the loop cuts in the previous video. So let's create an opening for the cooking panel. Just very quickly creating new faces here on the edge. Let's unhide everything, and yeah, I would say we can start adding our models, which are also linked under the video. You can download them for free since you watch the course and you own them right now. So let's just start adding the models right now. I will start by adding the cooking panel, which is the chocofur cooking number 10 model. As with the other assets, I'm just dragging them and dropping in the scene, adding all of the models here, since I don't know right now which one we are gonna use. And yeah, I would select this model, so let's delete the remaining ones and just very quickly move it to the location like this. You might think we don't need to cut an opening for an object like that, but I would still advise doing so, because some of those models have parts of them like those I don't know, heating spirals. I don't know if I can use this word for that, but they are always put just a little bit under the surface, so if you don't cut the opening, the nice color emission that come from those objects won't be visible. So as you can see, what I'm struggling with right now is adjusting the shape to the opening. I think I will just scale the model down a little bit like this, and in the edit mode just increase the sizes of those side elements here, because when I just simply scale them, you can see these parts are getting deformed. So let's go to the edit mode. Blender slowed down just a little bit for some reason. And now I'm just gonna press the left keyboard button, hovering over this element to simply select it. I will hide everything else. Select these vertices here and just drag them so they match the opening. And now when I exit the edit mode, you can see we have those aligned pretty nicely. I maybe would move those elements to the sides as well. So let's try doing this. I'm just gonna box select those, or maybe let's hide this object first and now move these. With the top view, I'm gonna do an incremental movement. So let's say, yeah, 0.05 to the left, and with these 0.05 to the right. I think it looks a little bit more proportional right now. Let's maybe move these elements downwards a bit, and it should be fine. Somewhere, something like that maybe. Okay, so I think that would be it for this model. Perhaps I know these are just the details, but maybe let's move these a little bit from the upper edge so it all looks proportional and nice. I would say that's it for the cooking panel here. Let's now focus on the grill. To create a grill, I'm gonna combine two models. So the first one I'm gonna add will be the cooking accessory number 9. So let's move it to the scene. And you can see this model doesn't look exactly like a grill, but I'm gonna change its shaders. So we have the front covered, the whole front of the model will be metal surface, and the upper surfaces will be created from a separate model from the actual outdoor grill. Let me just scale it down and align to the surfaces like that. I think it's pretty nice. And yeah, let's now import another model. Before we add it, we could at this point perhaps adjust the surface a little bit, reduce the geometry, which will be not visible, but I'm gonna skip that point. I just want you to be aware, because we are gonna put a cover on top of this cooking panel here, so all of those details won't be visible in the rendering. And in case you have a lower memory capacity on your graphics card, that could be helpful in case you're running out of memory when rendering. Yeah, but in any case, let's now import a second model. And that second model will be an outdoor 39. So it looks like an actual grill. This model consists 2 elements. So what we are looking for is simply this upper part here. So let me delete this one instantly. And now in the edit mode, I could do this both ways, maybe just selecting everything from the side view and now holding my control key and pressing numpad plus, I'm just maxing out the selection, so I know all of the vertices from the upper part are now selected. Yeah, so I just press P, separate selection, delete this bottom part. I'm gonna move the origin here so the gizmo stays at a correct location, and just very freely move this piece around like that. Scale it up, move it a little bit to the front, and I would say that looks pretty convincing. Especially this model will be placed outside of the window, so it's gonna be a secondary detail. The one in the reference looks a little bit different, to be honest. Let's hide our models and see what we have in the original image. So yeah, as you can see, we still need to adjust the panels and the upper element so it's more metallic, but we will do it in the next chapter, working on the shaders. And let's now move to those 2 or 3 remaining models. The assets I'm gonna use right now will be chocofur cooking accessories 7 and 14, but let me start with the second one. And it's gonna be a microwave 3D model. And I'm gonna place it upwards, just as in the reference. You have probably noticed that the models I'm using are not necessarily looking exactly the same as what we have in the references, but I think as long as the result you're aiming for looks nice and realistic and natural, I think it's good. In real projects, you might be asked by your client or by a customer to use as very specific models for those kind of details, and then unfortunately you have to make them yourselves. But we will also cover asset modeling for interior visualization later in another module of the course, which will be focusing on asset modeling only. So you can see I'm very slowly aligning this model to the opening we have created. I think it looks fine like this. Let's now add another model, and it's gonna be model number 7. So again, there are multiple objects in that file. I'm gonna delete these two and just keep the last one. Let's rotate it and move upward. Obviously, the biggest challenge will be a fridge, and I'm talking about challenge because honestly we don't have any chocofur model that looks like the fridge on the right. So as for now, it was rather easy job to align these assets, and you can see it all looks pretty good. I think we will check that out when setting up the rendering. Yeah, I would say it's pretty decent result when we compare it to the reference. And now the fridge, we will have to model it ourselves. But again, as long as you're not forced to recreate the model exactly as it is in the reference or in the technical documentation, we will just improvise. So to save us a little bit of time, I'm just gonna create the main doors of the fridge. The upper element I'm gonna borrow from the oven here, same as with the handle, which I'm gonna take maybe from that model as well, or maybe from a different model. We will see during the process. So yeah, let's now start working on the fridge. We start working on the fridge by surprise creating a cube. Now I'm gonna move it towards the model, place it around the opening and scale down. Now scale within the y-axis. And I know theoretically I should do it all in the edit mode, because right now we're gonna have incorrect scale of the model, but I can also zero the scale later. And as long as I'm not doing any advanced operations with the model itself, using any modifiers, the uneven scale won't be that much of an issue. But yeah, let's now enter the edit mode, move this face just a little bit so it fits the opening better, and from our camera here, let's add a loop cut like this, so we know the positions of the doors. We duplicate them, separate from each other, so you know the drill already. Now we scale them a little bit as individual faces. Sorry for that. Just like this, maybe a little bit in the z-axis as well. Let's now extrude them, and this should already give us a base for the rest of the model. Let's move them back to the surface here. Check with the camera. Now we have to lower it down so we have this upper element visible better. Yep, to this level here. Maybe we can also lower the entire fridge element just a bit and improve the shelves here. Yeah, I think it's better this way. I can see we also need to fix this little crack here later, but let's leave it as this. Yeah, and the upper part of the fridge we can see here, I'm just gonna borrow from the oven on the left. So let me select it, and I'm just checking the geometry. Yeah, let me separate these parts only. Maybe I duplicate them first. Now we have a separate duplicate available here. Let's move the origin to the middle point of that element. You can see I'm quickly moving it around to the position. Obviously the handle is not necessary, but I will just keep it just for a few more seconds. And I will also use it as a handle for the fridge in general. So let's just separate it from the model. Use an origin, new origin point, move it downwards. And now, by the way, this model is a little bit too dark. And since we are gonna set up the materials later, I'm just gonna delete all of the shaders in that model. So let's just keep it more simple as the fridge. I would also scale it in the y-axis just a bit so the detail is more visible. And yeah, now with the vertex mode, I'm just moving those parts to the edges. And this way we saved ourselves a little bit of time. We didn't have to model it from the scratch, and I think you won't be even able to notice that this part of the model comes from the oven that's outside of our scene. I'm pretty sure with a different shader that won't be visible on the first glance. So let's now focus on adjusting the handle here. So I'll rotate it in the y-axis, also removing all of the shaders. Switching back to the camera. Let's scale it up a little bit too much even, because I want those details we have here to be more visible. That's why I'm scaling this model up like that. And now I can just move it upwards like this, so it's not that huge. Or maybe it's even too big. So let's do it like this. And since we don't know how far the bottom part of the handle goes, let's switch to another camera right now. I'm gonna hide those models so they don't obscure the view that much for us. Blender is just a little bit too slow, but yeah, so you can see this element goes more or less to that level here. And we would also need to add a little bit of those details together with this metal skirting here. Let me just finish with the handles. I think we can put them like this, so I will also duplicate it to the left. Okay, let's use another camera to check out how it looks. I think it's pretty nice. I would perhaps increase the upper element just a little bit so it has better proportions. So let's switch to the side view, select those vertices and move them, well, somewhere here. So we need to adjust the door height just like this, and I'm leaving this little opening here for those corner details I mentioned just a second ago. Let's move the handles just a little bit down, and yeah, I think it looks pretty good with shaders. I'm pretty sure it's gonna look nice. So let's now focus on those very last small details. So since these are very small and literally not even secondary details, but third or fourth importance details, I really don't want to waste that much time on creating them. But again, it's similar as with the windows, so if these details are not present in the scene, you will kind of get a feeling that something's not right. So we have to do them, we'll use some clever method to create them, and that's why I'm just gonna extend this bottom part of the fridge a little bit. This edge loop here doesn't help us at all, so I'm gonna remove it. I think I need to hide the doors first. So let's remove this edge loop. Let's now move this part down just a little bit so it goes below the shelves. And I'm gonna create, guess what? What can I be creating? Yeah, it's gonna be another cube, which I just very quickly scale down like that. Let me move it somewhere here and create something like this. I think it's fine. Now let's duplicate it to another side. It's also fine, I think. And now we can focus our cursor here again and add a very simple cylinder, which is obviously too big. I will delete the upper faces because we don't need them, and in case we want to apply a smooth shading, it looks, well, much better than with the upper and bottom faces present in the model. So let's now scale it just a little bit like this. And yeah, in that very simplistic way, we have a detail that's maybe not 100% realistic, but it adds this additional level of, you know, depth to the model. So when you look around the scene, those little elements will be there. You might be not noticing them, but subconsciously somehow you know that the model looks right, because, well, logically these are the things that make those doors open. And yeah, in the end, these are very small touches, but I think we always need to put them around the scene, same as with those you know, openings here with the shelves, same as with some other details. Let's say this little line you can see here, this is something that only appears when you do the geometry right in 3D, but we are going to discuss it more in the next chapter when setting up the rendering, illumination and materials. So I would say that's it for the 3D modeling. Let's just switch to the second camera and see how it looks all together with the rest of the scene. So when I unhide everything right now, you can see the scene is all of a sudden becoming quite busy. We have many elements we always need to hide. You can see we also need to move the entire kitchen model a little bit to the right so it looks better here. And now I need to hand select every single piece of geometry we have created, and I'm not always sure if I'm doing the selection right. So that all means at this point it would be really nice to reorganize our scene and make it and group the elements a little bit better, and the outliner available in Blender 2.80 allows us doing this much better than in Blender 2.79. So you can see I selected the wall by mistake. Let me now switch back to the camera and, as I said, move everything a little bit to the right so the shelves are more proportional here. And right now everything is just a little bit out of the original placement in the reference, but I don't think we should really bother much about that. It looks good in the 3D reality. It looks, well, I think the models have a nice proportions. They don't look unnatural or anything like that. And yeah, I would say that's it for hand modeling part of the course. We will now focus on reorganizing the scene just a little bit, and the next step will be adding the assets, replacing those placeholders with real actual models, and yeah, adding many more of them. So thanks for watching. Let's move to reorganizing the things around the scene right now, and see you in the next video. Thank you guys for watching and sticking through all this long modeling part of the course. I promise from now on it will get much more interesting. If you enjoyed the video and if you'd like to support what I do, get access to all of the project files together with all of the interior scenes that we have created, together with over 2,000 Blender exclusive 3D models, check out the chocofur store and learn more about our subscription plans, because these truly are the best money can get you if you want to get better at Blender. Thanks again for sticking together with me through this course, and I see you in the new video where we manage the scene, add some more assets, and then continue to illumination. Enough talking. Bye bye.